So hi, Jodi. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm a huge follower of yours. I have been for a lot of years.
Oh, thank you, Sonya.
I just, I've been following you. You started off in Melbourne. I just think it's very funny because I'm not very technical and we've just had some issues with getting on here. And it's all been in Japanese because you're in Japan. And yeah, so that's been quite funny.
That's when I freaked out.
Yeah, but we got there and in the end. But the most important thing to me is I've been putting it out there that I wanted to get some, Feng Shui, someone on with Feng Shui. And you've always been my idol because I used to go to the shop in Melbourne when you had it at the Vic market. And I always used to come, whenever I had a problem, I'd always come into you and I was like, this is going on, and you'd always give me what to do, and, and it was just, I don't know, you're a lifesaver. And then one day you weren't there and it was like, oh my God, where's she gone? So, I keep, I'm still getting my Feng Shui things, but yeah, it's not the same.
Oh, well, thank you for saying so and for being a loyal customer. We had that shop for 15 years. It was 15 long years. It was great.
Wow. So when I think about it, I guess you're a master of Feng Shui, and I just want to know, like, where this all started for you. Like, you just know everything about Feng Shui, and where it started. How did you come to the shop? Where you are now? Just all about you. And yeah, if we can start with that, that'd be great.
Okay, well, I discovered Feng Shui in 1995 when I was working at Telstra, and I'd been working there for 3 years in telecommunications, internal billing department. Actually, it was very just normal corporate job working on the computers. Yeah. And then I thought, I did this course as part of Telstra. It's called Investment in Excellence. And the course actually asks you, what do you really want to do with your life? And I thought, do I really want to be at Telstra for the rest of my life, or do I want to, start pursuing other interests as well? So I was looking through this free magazine, it's like alternative magazine, and they had an ad. There was an ad in there for a free information night about Feng Shui. And it was run by the Australian Institute of Feng Shui and Geomancy, which is now defunct, but it was operating at that time. And I thought, wow, what is this thing? I've never heard of Feng Shui before. It was like a brand new subject in 1995. It was very new. So I went along to the course and I found out that Feng Shui is a lot of things that I enjoy, because it's a combination of architecture, interior design, philosophy, psychology, astrology, astronomy, mathematics. It has some scientific basis. There's algorithms. There's a whole lot of, and there's all this ancient Chinese wisdom and a whole lot of technical things to learn. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. I think I'll keep studying with this. So I went to the school, which I was with for a couple of years, and I learned several different topics because, learning is like a wandering path. So when we start learning something, we may go this way or we may go that way. And so in Chinese philosophy, we say it's like a wandering path.
Yeah.
So I was studying Feng Shui, and I was also learning Chinese astrology, and I was learning geomancy. Now, geomancy in the West or in Europe is about using the rods to find water under the ground, and you walk along and you find water, the rods cross over and there's water there, or some sort of thing that you're looking for. So, and then it's called dowsing, and you use maps to find objects, and there's people that are just amazing at it. And so I learned from a few people like that. I met an old guy called Silver, what's his name? Anyway, his surname was Mr. Silver. So I met him. He lived in Benalla, and he used to use sticks to find like a willow stalk, and he'd walk along in the countryside and he'd find water under the ground. And in fact, the police had often employed him to find dead bodies.
Oh, wow.
So if they had a sort of hint where they could be, he would find them where they're buried.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So he helped solve murder cases and things like that. So and it was really fascinating. But and then I also studied building biology, which is about the chemicals in the environment and the electromagnetic fields. I learned how to use a Gauss meter, which is a type of meter to measure the milligauss reading of electrical appliances that we may be close to, or if we're sleeping up against a meter box or something like that, we need to measure how strong is the electromagnetic field where we're sleeping or working, etc. And then, of course, the chemicals that we use in our environment. Well, I'm not very big on chemicals. I try to just use vinegar and baking powder as much as I can.
Yeah.
But even at that time, we did a module about building biology, and it was so interesting. You know, I read various books about the environment, such as James Lovelock's Gaia hypothesis, and Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, where she wrote about DDT and its effects on health. Well, that was written in the 60s, you know. And so by the time I started studying in the 90s, that book was sort of obsolete. It was a classic, but it was obsolete because they'd already stopped using DDT mostly. So all these things are important in our environment. You know, even the chemicals that are kept under the kitchen sink, they shouldn't be there at all, in fact, because
Really?
every time we open that cupboard, we breathe in a whiff of chemicals. You know, and then people get, you know, certain immune deficiency disorders and diseases. It's caused by chemicals in our environment. So even as part of my work now, when I see clients, I will go into the kitchen or into their laundry in particular, and if I can smell washing powder, or I was with a client recently and I could smell these little paper things that you put into the drying machine, and they make the clothes smell nice. But they're full of chemicals. So I said, well, you know, as part of my job, and it's behoving on me to tell it as I see it. And if I see or hear or observe or smell something that's not good, I will say it to the client. And the interesting reply was that she said that it reminded her of home because she was born in Canada. So it reminded her of her home country because her mother used to use these things in the drying machine. You know, so it's amazing how we get attached to certain things, and then we forget to think about the health implications of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So all that was so fascinating and so amazing, and I learned so much in those that 2-year course, and I got a diploma from the school. And I thought, well, there's so many topics here, which one really grabs my interest? And then I realized that was Feng Shui. Not only because Feng Shui was the oldest of all the topics that I learned, but it is also the most stable information too. Like, I didn't have to keep going and studying about the effects of different types of chemicals in the environment every single year, you know, and that gets updated. Yeah. And there are certain people who specialize in doing that. So, and I enjoyed Feng Shui, so I started studying that more. And my teacher, Kevin Massman, he's a really brilliant teacher. He lives in Castlemaine, and he after 3 years, he decided to stop teaching, which was sort of like, oh, I feel like a Ronin. You know what a Ronin is? It's a masterless samurai. You know? No master anymore. And I said to Kevin, what could I do? Where could I go? And he said, well, Master Joseph Yu is coming to Melbourne in 1998 at the end of the year. Why don't you go and attend his course? I think you'll really enjoy it. So I thought, oh, wow. And I was living in the countryside at that time, and I wasn't sort of flush with money, but I left Telstra because I decided that I wanted to go and study my love of Feng Shui full time. So we went and lived in the countryside. And Nathan, actually, my husband, he called me, he called himself the Feng Shui computer widow. Because I used to sit on the computer all day long studying things, drawing diagrams. You know, I'm very visual, kinesthetic, and I like to draw, and I like to actually do things, and it helps me learn more. So then when I heard that Master Yu was coming to Melbourne, I thought, oh, look, you know, I've done this course. I probably know a lot already. So I'll just go for the 2 days. So I decided to go for the last 2 days of the course. And so I walked into the classroom and sat down on the first day, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was really excited about this class. And I had my course manual sitting in front of me, and Master Yu stood up. He's a mathematician, in fact. That's where he started originally. And he stood up in front of the class, and he said, I can tell you the easy way to do a flying star analysis and how to calculate the chart. And he said, this is a flying star is a type of Feng Shui. He said, odd numbers fly forward in the first mountain. Now, for me, that was like a revelation. It was amazing. I couldn't believe that he'd made something that was so complicated, so simple. And he said, once you remember that one part, it's a 4-part equation, and then you can remember the other parts quite easily. Because odd numbers will fly forward, even numbers will fly backwards, and then in the second and third mountain, like in my diagram here, the second and third mountain, the numbers will reverse the way that they fly. Right. So it's all about yin and yang. We've got yang numbers and yin numbers. So yang numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and yin numbers are 2, 4, 6, and 8. Right. So I just went, wow, that, you know, for someone who's studying Feng Shui to get such clarity, and it just, the lights went on. And that was in 1998, and I've been studying with Master Yu ever since.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So I did that course, and then I went away and studied the information, and then I invited Master Yu to come back again. And then I invited him to come back, and to come back 3 different times. And then I went to Toronto, where he lives, and I did various different courses with him in Toronto, in a classroom situation at the Feng Shui Research Centre. So wow. That was my foray into our school. And this year our school celebrates 20 years of
oh my goodness.
So I started in the first year that the school started. So it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
What a journey. Yeah. So Feng Shui is amazing because it never stops. You're always learning new things. And so every day I learn new things about Feng Shui.
So what is the basics? Like my dad is not spiritual at all. But he's like a really big believer in Feng Shui. He has his house, like someone comes in and does his house, does his workplace. Like him and his partner are really big believers in it, and his partner more so. But yeah, and so what is like some of the basics that people can have? Because I know like there's no mirrors in the bedroom. Would that be right?
Sure. Well, let me explain something about Feng Shui too, because people often divide it into 2 schools, what's called the form school and the compass school. Right. But actually, you need both of those schools in order to learn Feng Shui. So what you're talking about with the, would you say the bedroom, that applies to the form school. Right. So Feng Shui is a study of space, the space in which we live, and also the time in which we live there. So in order to calculate an overall holistic approach to Feng Shui, we look at the space, we examine the external features of the property, going right out into the distance where the mountains and the waters are located. And then we look at the internal Feng Shui as well, the internal forms, such as where's the windows, where are the doors, where are people sleeping, how do people walk around the building, when they enter, which door do they use, where is the windows, and so forth. Now, in order to achieve the best Feng Shui, the ideal time to do Feng Shui is when you're choosing a block of land in which to build a house.
Right.
Because when you choose a block of land, like we just choose a normal city block of land, then you have only the choice of, say, facing towards the street, or if you're lucky to buy a corner block, then you can face one street, or you can face the house the other street. So then you've got to know, according to the Feng Shui, which direction we're facing. So direction is about the space as well. And so in Feng Shui, we use a compass to calculate what direction a building will be facing. So this is the compass that I use, actually. It's called a lopan. I'll give you a closer look.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lope, you might have seen that before.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
That's our tool of trade, you see. And the lopan, in the center of the lopan is a magnetic compass needle. So the compass needle measures north-south directions, and of course north, south, east and west, all the directions, so that we can calculate which direction a house is facing. So what we're actually doing is measuring the Earth's magnetic field at any particular location, and then coupled with the direction that a building is facing, the time that a building is built in will indicate what the chart for the building. So timeliness is very important as well. So when we look at the space, we call that the earth part, or the forms, if you like. And then when we look at the time, we call that the heaven part. Because when you look at the heaven, like the sky, everything is always moving all the time. So heaven is related to time. So the time that a house is built is very important. And in the school of Feng Shui that I use mostly, which is called the Flying Stars School of Feng Shui, every 20 years the Feng Shui changes. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So at the moment we're in period 8, and period 8 started in 2004 and goes until 2024. And then in 2024 we'll go into period 9.
Wow. That's fascinating. You know how we have the year of, like, I think it's the year of the dog this year.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm the year of the dog. Does that mean that I'm going to have
So I know how old you are now.
Sorry? Oh, yeah. I'm getting up to that 50 mark. Does that mean like I have extra luck? Like, what does the year of the dog mean? Like, what is that?
Well, that's Chinese astrology as well, which is another stream, another subject, which I've also been studying since 1995. The third subject that I also study is face reading as well.
Oh, wow.
Which is also
I told you, you're so talented.
Well, I studied with a face reading master for 8 years. He was referred to me by Master Yu, and I learned a lot from he was like a 30-year veteran of face reading. So it's a fascinating subject as well. But these 3 topics, Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, face reading, they're all independent topics, but they all merge together into one holistic approach. But it's quite interesting because I said to my face reading master once, I said, the Chinese astrology and the face reading, they should match. Right? So if you're born into a time when your chart says that you've got a lot of wealth, so then you should have a good nose for money. So when you look at someone's nose, it should be a good money nose. Now, what is a good money nose?
I got a good money nose. I want a good money nose.
Well,
just
actually,
make it up.
well, when I look at your nose, the thing about one thing that makes a money nose good is that you can't see your nostrils too much. So they're sort of hidden away a little bit, you know, so the nose is wide, and the nostrils are hidden away, because money is like water. And this is in all Chinese metaphysics. We consider money like water, not just because it flows, but there are actually several reasons why money is like water. So why do you think money is like water?
Why do I think money is like water? Because it flows.
Yeah.
It's energy.
Yes. Why else can it be like water? What is a similarity between water and money?
I don't know. Like, it's running.
Yeah, it's running. That's true. Okay, I'll give you the answer.
Yeah, give me the answer. God, I'm not that clever. I've just done a sleepover and had no sleep.
Well, I'm here to push those. I'm here to push those mental buttons.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, money is like water, not only because it's flowing, but if we have water in our environment, then we can be more prosperous because we can grow crops, we can feed our families, we can have commerce. Like in the old days, trade and commerce was conducted along the rivers. So all the major cities in the world were located near sources of water because it was actually easier to transport things by river than by aeroplane. There was no such thing at that time, or by train. There's no such thing, or even the carts and horse. So it was much easier to put large amounts of things, produce into a boat and take it down the river, which is why all the major cities in the world, the oldest ones, are located on the water. However, like even in China, I've traveled extensively in China and I've run 7 tours to China. And I remember seeing one town and they said, this town, which is on the banks of the Yellow River, was once a very, very prosperous town. And they didn't really give an explanation of why it wasn't prosperous anymore. But the answer is obvious, is because they started to use roads. They built roads instead of having to use the river network, to carry goods.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there are a lot of towns that used to be, or cities that used to be prosperous that aren't anymore because major roads were built instead.
Oh my gosh.
So things change, just like Feng Shui changes, as I say, Feng Shui changes in time. Technology, everything changes. And so everything originates from the concept of the space in which we live and the fact that everything changes. Right? And we have to be able to accept that everything changes. Nothing stays the same.
No.
And I know that we want to hold on to all those wonderful things that we have. But sometimes it's good to just remember just to let it all go because things change. And so embracing change is a way for us to grow.
Yeah, I love it. So getting back to the dog.
Yeah.
and the face reading.
Yeah. So if you've got a good runny nose, now the thing about water, right? There's 5 orifices on the face where there's water.
Does it mean I've got good money or not?
Well, it means that you can hold on to your money quite well because you can't see your nostrils so well.
Oh,
so
great.
So especially if you put your chin down a bit, you can't see your nostrils at all.
I think I'll be walking around like this from now on.
And that's what's interesting, you see, because we learn about ourselves from looking at our own face. And as we change and mature and grow over time, if we understand a bit about face reading, then we can know what are our strengths and weaknesses as well.
I love it. What else?
Well, a money nose should be wide as well to hold the wealth. So your nose is not so wide, but it's in proportion. So I wouldn't say you're particularly extremely wealthy, but you're able to hold on to what you've got.
Okay. Oh, bummer.
In face reading, we also have different ages. So you said that you're, I know what age you are because you're born in the year of the dog. Right?
Yes, so I'm 48.
Yes, because it's 12 multiples of 12 because this is the year of the dog, right? So because you're born in the year of the dog, then age 48 is the tip of your nose. So this is a strong wealth time for you at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's actually 48. But even though you're 48 this year, I don't know when your actual birthday is, but so.
It's just been. It's
okay. Yeah. So then you've now gone into your 49th year. So no, you've just gone into your 48th year.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So 48, 49, 50. But in face reading, as soon as you turn 48, you're actually 49. So 49 is one of the nostrils, and the nostrils are the wings of the nose is considered the wealth, where the wealth is stored up, if you like.
Yeah. Nice.
So now is a good time for you for wealth, but also the nose represents our personality and our character. And it's quite interesting because, when you see someone with a very prominent nose, their character is usually more dominant or stronger.
Yeah.
Someone with a small nose, they might be more placid, or I'm being general, but maybe more quiet. Yeah, in general.
Yeah. So do the eyes, because people always say the eyes are the
window to the soul.
Oh yeah. So does that have a lot to do with you as well?
Well, we have our 5 places where there's water, so the eyes have something to do with wealth as well. But the eyes also tell you about a person, for instance, a person with a lot of white around their eyes. Just say, when you open your eyes widely and you can see white all the way around it, that's a little bit unusual, right? So if you see that, we call that 3 white eye. It means that the person is a little bit crazy. So keep away from them. So the eyes do say something about our character, our personality as well.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
So getting back to the year of the dog, though, you're familiar with your year of birth, but everybody actually has 4 animals. So there's one for the year, one for the month, one for the day, and one for the hour as well. Yeah.
Oh wow!
So we all have 4 animals. Yeah. So and the animals are a type of formula. So we've got 12 months and 12 animal signs. So each animal represents a month as well. And then we have every 12 years, the animals change. And then we have every 12 days, there's a new animal coming in a cycle, and every 24 hours as well. Every 24
wow.
hours.
You're so full of information. When I used to come and see you, you said, bring in the plan of your house, and, I'd bring that in. So are you still doing your consultations? Like, how do people find you? What are you offering these days? Because you are in Japan and it's a bit far for me to travel to you these days. But how do people find you? Because you are, like, in my eyes, the master. Like, there's no one better than you. So how do you find you? What are you running? What are you doing these days?
Well, I've always I've been involved in every aspect of the Feng Shui industry. So I've run consultations, courses, seminars, workshops, Feng Shui tours of Chinatown in Melbourne, and I also run Feng Shui tours of China. So this year in October will be my 8th Feng Shui tour of China. And we're going to a city called Langzhong. Now, I wanted to show you this drawing. This drawing, when I travel, I love to carry my book and I like to make drawings. So this is my drawing of Langzhong.
Oh, wow.
That they call that, it's got the name in China of the Feng Shui capital. So we're going there this year to study Feng Shui. And there's one very famous Feng Shui master who lived in that province. This is his fan. His name was Zhuge Liang, and he was a very famous Feng Shui master in history and strategist. So that's his special fan. So, so I'm running tours, and even though I sold my business in 2015, I actually got it back again. Under funny circumstances. So I was in Melbourne last month. I was in Melbourne for May and June this year, opening up a pop-up shop to sell some stock. And instead of opening up at the Queen Victoria Market, we had a shop and we opened it up for 2 months in Victoria Street, Abbotsford, Richmond.
Great.
So it was on the same street, but further down. So we were there for 2 months running the business. And we sold a lot of stock, and we caught up with a lot of customers from the old days.
Oh my goodness!
Sonya, where were you?
Where was I? If I hadn't known, I would have had the trailer there.
Yeah. So what I've done was I opened up a pop-up shop, and I've still got some stock left over. So I put it up online. So online on my website, and I'll give you the website later. But so the shop name is Feng Shui Cures and Crystals. So we've got all the products online, and then when I go to China in October, I'll be picking up more products, and then I'm coming back to Melbourne for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be running a pop-up shop
Right.
at Como Centre in
Nice.
Connors Tapper Street. Yeah, so I run a pop-up shop there. I've got some friends, some lovely ladies who run a business there,
Oh,
and
that's
I've
great.
set up all the products there. And I'll be also running some Year of the Pig seminars as well.
Okay.
That's
the
my
year of the
plan,
pig
yeah,
next
for
year.
next year. So then we can talk about the annual stars for next year and what to expect according to your face reading and according to your
Oh, I
astrology.
love
What to
that.
expect for next year? Yeah.
I love
So I
that.
hope you can join me, Sonia.
Yeah, that would be great. And can you make sure that you send me that information so I can put it on my put it up everywhere on my website?
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much. I will. I
Yeah,
will do that.
that would be
Yeah.
fabulous. So
I haven't worked out the dates and the details yet, but it will be anyway on my website. Now, these are my two websites. Feng Shui Cures and Crystals. Can you read that?
yeah, I can. www.fengshui, what is it? Curesandcrystals.com and fengshuimaster.com.au. Perfect.
Yeah, those are my two main Feng Shui websites.
So people can follow you also on Facebook.
Yes, they can. I'm on Facebook, and please come visit me. I make posts about, because I see clients still all the time. Like I was in Melbourne for 2 months, so I saw a lot of clients then.
Yeah.
But I also have clients online. So like just yesterday, I was talking with a client online, and one of the things that I'd recommended to her was she's building a swimming pool, and I did the calculation for the flying stars. Now I'll show you what the calculation looks like. How are we going for time? Have we got enough time?
Yeah, we're right.
Okay, so this is what a flying stars chart looks like. It looks like that.
Okay,
it's just a set of numbers. It's called it's an algorithm actually. It's a set of numbers, and this is actually the chart that the floor plan of my house here in
Oh wow,
town.
yeah.
But so I did the calculation based on the direction her house is facing and the fact that she's doing a big renovation. So she's gutting the whole house, redoing it and rebuilding it. So it's a brand new house. That makes it a period 8 house. So now that we're drawing to the end of period 8, I also have to take into consideration what is going to happen in the next 20-year cycle. So when people ask me about Feng Shui, I have to include, in a report, I have to think about where is the swimming pool going to go? Where is the front door going to go? Is it going to be good now and into the future as well? So depending on how long a person plans to occupy that building. And then there's certain stars, all the different numbers, we call them the stars. And it's just a fancy word for number, really.
Yeah.
So all the different numbers or stars have different characteristics, and star number 5, for instance, is a negative star that can bring ups and downs in life. That's at the best. It can bring ups and downs. So if you have a star number 5 that is activated by water, a large body of water like a swimming pool or a pond or the ocean or a lake or a river, it will activate the star number 5, and it can cause bad luck for people. So when I had a look at her chart, I said, oh my God, the swimming pool is in the star 5 location. My strongest recommendation to you is that you need to move from the eastern to the north of the house. She was very resistant to the idea, actually, and she wrote me several emails and said, is there anything we can do, like, hanging up a bagua mirror, or, can we put, change the color of the swimming pool tiles or something like that? I said, no. Water, the location of water, because it represents wealth, if it's in the right place, it will activate wealth. If it's in the wrong place, it can activate whatever, any other sort of negative thing. So it depends on which star it's being activated.
Wow.
So fortunately, yesterday when I was having a chat to her, she had so many questions. Then the first thing she said to me, now about that swimming pool, my husband loves the idea of moving the swimming pool. He said it's much more practical to put it over in the north than it is in the east.
Wow.
And I said, thank God for that. So whatever reason it happens to be, he may not believe in Feng Shui. Well, actually, you don't even have to believe in it. It will still affect you even if you don't believe in it. It's not one of those things like, you know, it's not a religious thing. It's not something where you have to believe in it for it to work. It will work whether you believe in it or not. And I said, I'm so glad, because I showed her the chart, you know, and I think empowering the client, which is what my branding says, personal empowerment through placement. So the places that we place things is so important. And if we place things in a good location, we can have fortune. So that's what I'm here to do, is to help people to be more fortunate in the house that they're living in, or to avoid some sort of negative things from happening. So I was so pleased when she said she was planning to move the swimming pool over to the north, and that her husband actually agreed even before she did.
Yeah, well, that's why I kept coming back to you, because I kept going through all these things and everything that you were giving me was working.
That's lovely.
And I kept, you know, I kept a little book, and we've got a great stupa here in Bendigo, and it's got some feng shui things. So I still go and get what you've told me, and you know, I learn a lot from you when you're here. But look, I'm so grateful for your time. Like, you know, as I said, you are the master, and you know, when I emailed you, I thought you're going to be so busy, and here I am emailing the master. I'm thinking, you know, there's no way you're going to have time for me to do an interview. But as usual, you're just the most beautiful hearted person. You were like, yes, straight away. And
I'm working on several projects at the moment. I've got a shopping mall in the CBD in Melbourne's Chinatown. I've got several, like I've made a list, you know, I've got residential buildings that I'm looking at. One is in East Hawthorn, and you know, one's up in Queensland. So it keeps me busy. And the wonderful thing about what I do is that wherever I go, I can still do my feng shui, because even with Google, I can look at Google. And these days, you know, I can walk around a house with you, say with your house, and I can say to you, show me what's outside the window of your house in that direction. And you just put your phone up against the window and I can see everything. So
I love technology. I mean, I actually hate technology because I can't use it, because I'm technically challenged, but I actually love
practice makes perfect.
It's so good. Like, you know,
never use that sort of negative self-talk. You'll be fine, Sonya.
I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to it. But I'm so grateful for today. Thank you so much. And I'll look forward to posting this, and looking forward for people following you and having the same blessed experience I've had with you.
So, thank you very much, Sonya. And
I'll see you in Melbourne.
All right. Yeah, see me in Melbourne.
Namaste.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.